Welcome, everybody. John Nervos is here, Washington, D.C. Welcome, welcome, with my ever lowering voice. It keeps getting scratchier from the allergies, I think, or from doing this show. Hard to say which. Oh, boy. Anyway, hello, everybody. Ah, hard to say, Ray. Oh, let me switch my camera on TikTok. There we go. Oh, hey, everybody. How be we all? Woo! Got my hot water again. Hello, everybody. Woo! Oh man. Oh, you got the YouTube notification. That's good. That's good. You never know. TikTok as well. Welcome, everybody. Oh yeah, the little SNN tag exactly. Sasha's good. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes just for more people to come on because everybody keeps the new people keep coming in and asking how she's doing. So I'll fill you guys in a minute, but so far she's doing well, thank God. Oh, so how's everybody doing? Say how, introduce yourselves again, since remember, sometimes there's new folks here. We always like to introduce ourselves for the first couple minutes because it gives a chance. Oops, got my thing on. It gives a chance for people to check in, or for people to kind of arrive since they get the notification. Oops, just opening my my temperature here. The Sasha News Network, exactly. Oh boy. Anyway, so yeah, what's going on with everybody? Bonsoir de Quebec. Bonsoir de Washington. Ooh, and hello, California. Oh, that's it. Oh, hello. That's kind of a new thing on TikTok, Kevin. I haven't seen that before. That was kind of cool. So tomorrow there is a surprise January 6th hearing. From the U.S. Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol. They just announced a surprise hearing tomorrow for 1 p.m. Eastern time. Lebanon. Oh, hey, Lebanon. I don't know that we've ever seen anybody from Lebanon here before that we knew of. Welcome. Salam. Salam alaikum. Or bonjour. Either works, as I recall. Hey, Patty. Oh, wow. That's gorgeous. It looks like TikTok just got a whole new slew of GIFs because like all sorts of cool stuff popping up on the screen. Anyway, so yes, the tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time, there will be announced only an hour or a couple ago that they're going to have a hearing. New evidence has come forward. They're building up a lot of expectations about what it is. Thank you, Tom Baum. They're building up a lot of expectations about what it is, why they couldn't wait. Right? I mean, very interesting. To me, first of all, these guys aren't stupid. They announced this out of nowhere. They're not saying who the witness is, but they said they're having sort of an emergency hearing because of new evidence. Now, the fact that they're doing that means they've got something. If they don't have something interesting, it is going to be a bomb. I know it is. I mean, it almost would have to be something akin to Mike Pence. I know we're all getting the face palm now. It almost would have to be something akin to Mike Pence. I don't think it's Mike Pence, but there's just too. This is making it look too big, is my point. And you don't make it look this big unless there's something going on that you've got. In other words, you better produce something. What's the word? You better deliver if you're going to make it look this. Especially not saying who the witness is going to be. Now, I will say. I am not going to host a live for tomorrow because the lives have been exhausting me. Like they go for 2 or 3 hours. The lives for the hearings, it goes like it's been 2 or 3 hours lately, and it's just I can't then do the one at night. I mean, I've been doing them, but it's just been killing me. So I would prefer to skip the new. Damien's coming by. I may start TikTok just cause on the off chance. But I just don't want to have to read the screens and watch the TV. Believe it or not, even though we just sort of are watching together, it's exhausting for me reading the screens and stuff. So I apologize for that. But yeah, of course, and we'll talk about the hearing, Well, let's see. I mean, if it's something insane, if it's Mike Pence, I may just start up the old video. But it's at 1 p.m. tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time US. So that's New York City time. Again, it's got to be a big deal. Okay, so real quick, I will tell. See, they've got all the new. This is amazing. All the new visuals. I'd love to be like the person at TikTok who designs the gift visuals. In any case, so I will give a quick update on my dog since folks have been asking. We sort of had to run to the emergency vet yesterday in DC. Thank you, Borderline. And I had to cancel yesterday's show for that reason. She is doing well, knock on wood. I mean, long story short, she's been kind of sick all week, but not sick enough to go to the vet. And then yesterday, a number of things happened that, thank you, Amanda Bear and Lizzie, that I kind of knew meant she had to go to the vet. But thank you, Liza. But I called the vet just to be sure. And there's a big emergency vet in town called Friendship. They're, creme de la creme, but they're expensive as hell. But they're also one of the only ones open on a Sunday. So I called them. They're very nice about letting you know if you should go. And I told the woman what was going on, and she said, you need to bring her in right now. And I said, that's what I thought. So we went there. We were there for 4 hours, $630 later. She's doing well. They gave me lots of drugs for nausea, for diarrhea, for you name it. Thank you, Marcy. But I'll leave it with this. She's been good. I've been feeding her, many small meals today. She hasn't thrown up yet, which is historic. She hasn't had diarrhea yet, not to get gross with you all. So knock on wood, if this continues tomorrow, then hopefully it'll take a couple weeks to get better. And she did. Oh yeah, she drank her water and ate today. She was hungry, so she had water today. Yep. Because the vet said not to give her water yesterday or food, and I think I told you guys last night I was dying, absolutely dying. And oh my God, last night she was pissed. She woke me up at 4 a.m. standing by her water bowl, doing like the angry, like the angry voice. And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, all right, enough of Sasha. Sasha's doing well. Thank you for asking, guys. I appreciate everybody kind of weighing in and asking. Made me feel good. So anyway, but yeah, the DC, better price than Loudon. Really, Loudon's worse than that. Oh my God. She has sort of, I want to jump in because because the regulars know why we talk about my dog. I don't want the new people to be bored that we're talking about my dog, but our show tends to be familial. We'll put it that way. We all kind of know each other after a while, but no, I think she's got irritable bowel or irritable stomach and bowel. A couple times a year she gets something like this. It's just, this is the worst in 5 or 6 years when they literally had to take her for 5 days. And it was $1,000 a day. It was horrific. But anyway, all right, guys, let's start. There's a lot of news today. As always, I will do the news first. There's almost too much news, so let me see. I'll decide if I cut a few stories. I will do the news first. Then we will, thank you, Debbie. I'm seeing people post the Sasha picture. Then we will get to the question and answer. The TikTok folks may notice, thanks to Rhino, a wonderful person on TikTok. I think he's one of my followers. I'm not even sure, but he popped in and said he had an invite to the subscription service on TikTok. So that's why you're seeing the little SNN marker next to some of the names for Sasha News Network and posting the little Sasha pictures. It's just kind of a cute way of being able to support the creators. It's like $5.99 a month, or I don't even know what it is. And TikTok gets a portion. I get a portion. You get to put custom emojis up and the little thing next to the name, which anyway, it's up to you guys. A number of people have done it, but I appreciate it. And, I will say this, actually, I'm sorry, for question and answer, because this is relevant for that. For Q&A, use the Q&A box in my profile on TikTok. If you go to my profile, you'll see Q&A. Use that box to enter your questions. But at the same time, what I'll do is when we're in the middle of the question and answer, if I see one of the SNN people ask a question on the screen, I will get to it. Like I'll try. It's hard because it's scrolling by, but I'll try to do that as a thank you for subscribing. So if I see something that's a question and we're doing Q&A, I'll try to do it. I promise. For you guys who are Twitch, TikTok, not TikTok, TikTok's over there, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and somebody else, I think, LinkedIn. Use the comments box on the bottom. For the TikTokers, you can do these super chat questions using the $sign in the bottom. If you do a super chat question, same deal. I promise to do a super chat. I will always answer super chat questions. I get too many questions overall, so I can't get to all of them. But I will always promise to answer super chat questions, and I'll try to get to them immediately when I see it. Like, I'll finish what I'm talking about and then get to your question. So thank you for that. And with no further ado, I will have another sip of hot water and let's jump in. So the news just broke, actually, that a Russian court announced that Brittney Griner's trial will begin on Friday. She is the American basketball player who, female basketball player, was arriving in Russia, I believe, to play on the St. Petersburg team. I think the women's basketball league there. A lot of the American players do that in the off season, and they arrested her at the airport. They claimed, I pulled this up again. They claimed she had vape cartridges bearing traces of hash oil. Now, again, this story is such BS because imagine this. She arrives at the airport. She's got empty, first of all, why would she have empty vape cartridges is beyond me, but she's got empty vape cartridges. They claim that there was a microscopic trace of hashish oil in the cartridge, but how would they know that at the airport? They would have looked and it would have been an empty vial. Well, the original story I saw said they had to send the vials off to be tested. In other words, we know it was BS, but it was total BS, right? In any case, the trial starts on Friday. Her lawyer said the trial could be expected to take up to 2 months because this is the way justice works in Russia. So, and between you and me, we all know she's going to be convicted. This is no great surprise. They want to embarrass America. I don't even know they're going to use her. Eric, salut. I don't even know that they're going to use her as a bargaining chip. Thank you, Netlin. It's bad. It's very bad. So the other big news today, actually a lot of big news today, Russia attacked a shopping mall in Kremenchuk. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Ukraine. It is here. It is here actually on the map. I was happy to. Oops. Thank you, Purnell. He almost got in the way of the map. Kremenchuk is right here. It's on the river Dnipro, halfway between Kyiv, the capital, and then down here by the Black Sea, or the Sea of Azov, I believe it's called. So Kremenchuk is right here. The Russians, from within Russia, they launched rockets from bombers within Russian territory and went after a shopping mall. They blew up a shopping mall that had 1,000 people in it. I will show you guys, there's many videos, but I'll show you guys the one. I put it on TikTok, but that doesn't mean everybody saw it. I'll show you one or two, actually. Hold on. It's really, actually, this brief 10-second one will give you a lot, and then I'll show you a follow-up. Hopefully you can both see them from here. Shopping mall. And then let me show you a Ukrainian, somebody with the Ministry of one of the ministries just happened to be there and showed video as well. Oops. It looks like 9/11 to me. To me, these images remind me, it just does. It reminds me of the World Trade Center video. Just for whatever reason. Well, because that's what it reminds me of. Horrible. The good news, so to speak, is so far they've only recovered 13 bodies, 59 are receiving medical care, and 40 are still missing. Now, I'd be pretty amazed if they get away with 53 deaths when they believe about 1,000 people were shopping. And some people had asked, why were people shopping in wartime? Because they need food. You know what I mean? Like, war doesn't, also, it's not like the war has been happening in Kremenchuk, right? It's been down here, Kherson, Zaporizhia, over here by Severodonetsk, over here by Kharkiv. It hasn't been in Kremenchuk. The Russians just gratuitously bombed civilians, as they always do. And one thing to keep in mind, because again, somebody in the comments, they could have been a Russian troll, I'm not sure, but it has long been a policy of Russian war making that you target civilians. They target civilians. I mean, it's what they do. Targeting civilians does not mean you fight a war, you blow something up, and you accidentally killed civilians, or you accidentally blew up the wrong building. Targeting civilians means literally it is a known aspect of Russian warfare that they say we're going to blow up as many private residences as we can to freak out the country and to try to stop it from going to war. That basically the leaders say we're suffering too much. Just really horrific. Arifa, you're back. Thank you for that. Let me get next story. Oh, this weekend. So over the last couple days, the G7 summit has been taking place in Germany, 7 of the world's largest economies. And starting tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow and the next day, we're having the NATO summit in Spain. And the Russians, part of the reason the Russians are doing all this bombing, I think, is to make a statement. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I have to laugh. Somebody's Shadowfire Aileen is saying she likes that app better than TikTok because the audio is better. That's because my mic for TikTok costs $20 and this mic and cost me about $500 to $600. So I'm glad to hear the sound is better. There was no way to. They don't sell this kind of mic for TikTok, so I apologize to the TikTokers, but I'm glad at least it sounds better because it damn well should sound better. So what happened to coincide with the G7 and the NATO summit, the Russians also bombed the hell out of Kyiv, the Ukrainian capital, this weekend, firing missiles. Apparently, God, the number I saw, I don't know if it was 70 missiles. It was something crazy they fired. I think like 14 got through. It was oh, I can? Well, we can talk later about how I use this mic for TikTok because I have no idea how. But in any case, what the Russians did is they shot missiles from lots of different directions to basically try to trick the air defenses around Kyiv. And it was the biggest missile barrage I believe they've done since the war started. And they did it because yesterday was the G7 meeting. And with tomorrow being NATO, I'm guessing this is also why these attacks are going on. They're trying to just cause as much damage and mayhem. And again, in Kyiv, what did they do? They blew up an apartment building and they blew up a kindergarten. Fortunately, the kindergarten was empty. The apartment building was not. Blew up 3 floors at the top of the apartment building. So, this is what they do. And now, interestingly, to coincide with this, the U.S. announced that we are sending an advanced air defense system to Ukraine. People believe, except I got to tell you, I've learned not to believe something's going to Ukraine until literally it's on their doorstep. Because lately these promises from all of us have been a bit much. But supposedly it'll be, and I don't know how you say this, whether you say NASAMS or NASAMS, but it's a surface-to-air missile system made by the Norwegians, and it's pretty cool. From what I was reading, basically and again, I'm explaining this to you as foreign policy guy, not as military guy, so I'm going to be a little on the margins here, but it has many different components that are spread out all over the place, and they all work together, and they're redundant. So the Russians can take out like one component of the air defense system, and all the other ones will still work. So that's the first thing, which is great. The second thing is the system is so smart, it can, I pulled this up earlier today. I believe the number is it can simultaneously track 72 incoming missiles, but 72 simultaneous missiles. Because one of the things the Russians like to do lately is they're shooting these missiles from all directions coming at Ukraine, from Russia, from the sea in the south, hoping it confuses the system. Well, this system won't get confused. So it's a big deal. Hopefully they get a lot of them. Let's see. It's important that they get a lot of them, but this is still a good thing. Let me move down here. As I said, Biden's in Europe for the various meetings. The G7 is talking about imposing a ban, or maybe they already agreed, on Russian gold imports. The only thing with that is as the story said, here's one of the stories. It's a major export that rakes in tens of billions of dollars. What I read was Russia earned like 15 billion with a B on it last year. Russia's pulling in like, what is it, 30 or 40 billion a month in oil. So I mean, it's okay. I mean, every billion counts, but it's not like it's going to be the end of the world. Nonetheless, hey, it's still $15 billion. We should cut it off. I mean, because all of this adds up. It's all money Russia would have had that they're not going to have now. Additionally, oh yeah, Zelensky. So Zelensky spoke, it must have been the G7 because I don't think NATO started yet. Yeah, he asked the G7, he spoke virtually and asked them for help, military help, to end the war by the end of this year, which I thought was very interesting. I mean, because that I don't know. I think that's a timeline that a lot of people would find almost early, meaning in terms of feeling like this is going to drag on a long time. I think the Russians shot themselves in the foot with that shopping mall attack, I think, today. Doing that in the middle of the G7 and the day before the NATO meeting does Russia no favors. No favors. That was such a horrific attack and the visuals from it are just so horrible that if you're sitting on the fence a little bit in NATO about a certain weapon system, or even if you've agreed to a certain weapon system, you see this and you go, you know what? Maybe we send them the better weapon system. You hear Zelensky talk about, hey, maybe send me the weapons to win this war by the end of the year. And all of a sudden you go, you know what? Anyway, I think Putin didn't do himself any favors. So this was another thing. I don't know all the details on this one. Actually, this is one of those that I'll throw to you guys. If there's anybody who's a military expert out there, NATO intends to significantly increase the number of allied forces on standby in case of conflict with the Russians, or conflict period, increasing the number of troops on standby from 40,000 to 300,000. It was announced today. The only thing is, I don't know what it means to be on standby versus not to be on standby, because each country has its own troops anyway. So what does it mean 40,000 are on standby and 300,000 will now be on standby? So anyway, I'm even putting on my glasses for this. If any of the military folks know, maybe jump in and tell me. I'll go on to the next topic of this. The alliance will also increase the size of its deployments in Poland and the Baltic states. So that's good. I mean, ready to deploy basically means that deployment of forward units and readying reserve units. Okay, notified they might be recalled. Ready to go. Okay, that's what I'm assuming. So it's kind of it's putting them at a higher status of readiness, right? So that, for example, if there were a war tomorrow or next week, NATO would need less time to marshal that many people, right? I mean, that's how I interpreted it, of course, but I wasn't quite sure, specifically how it actually worked. Oh, thank you, Louis. Oh, why are things getting hot over on the on YouTube, etc.? Don't get heated, folks. Don't get heated. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, in any case, I'm just throwing it out there, but a significant increase, obviously. Speaking of Russian trolls, folks are saying we're having a lot of Russian trolls on TikTok. That's kind of the norm on TikTok, but our mods do a really good job of getting rid of them. It just usually takes a few minutes because they swarm at the beginning of the broadcast, especially lately, actually. The Russians, I feel loved. The Russians have rediscovered me. In the last weekend, they complained about 5 different videos that TikTok pulled, but then finally TikTok fixed the appeals feature. They had stopped it, or it was broken. I couldn't actually appeal the removal of my videos, and within half an hour, the 5 videos came back. So, Russian trolls 0, John 5. Thank you. So the Russians have been launching a cyber attack on Lithuania, on government websites. Thank you, Purnell. On government websites and business websites. Specifically, it's called a DDoS attack. If you're in the know, if not, basically, it's a way of attacking a website that you just hit the website so many times. It's almost, you hit it as if it's an individual person coming to the site, but they have millions of them coming, and the site is unable to handle it. It's like I said, it's almost as if a million people at once are checking your website, and it brings it down. Thank you, Liza, for that. That's the Russians have been doing. They claim, well, we know why they're doing it. Yeah, it overwhelms the server. Exactly. We know why they're doing it. They are demanding that the Lithuanians stop enforcing the sanctions. Now, what happened last week, you might recall, is that Lithuania said it would no longer allow the transport of sanctioned goods across its territory. Now, that's part of the sanctions. Specifically, and I don't have my handy dandy, thank you, Outlaw, my handy dandy map handy right now. Let me see. I wish the iPhone had a way of, I mean, we can save stuff as favorites, but I want to show you the map again because I do think the Kaliningrad map is always a really useful thing to see. Or did I delete it? See, there's always a chance that I delete these things because then I try to clear out my phone. I've got too many things. Oop, hold on. I'm going to do a quick look. I may have it here. Kaliningrad. Oh, I think I may actually. I'm noticing lots of things not canceled here. Hang on, guys. Just like I said, because it's basically Kaliningrad is this territory of Russia that is kind of landlocked in Europe. It's kind of a surprising little thing. And it's not something that most people, if you aren't familiar with the geography, are even aware that it's there. Oop, not there. You know what? I'm just going to, oh, that was it. I, of course, hung up my thing the second. Here we go. This was a nice little map showing it. So that little white thing in the middle that says Russia, right above, right north of Poland, right southwest of Lithuania, that is a part of Russia. Check it out if you haven't seen it before. The white thing in the middle that says Russia, right north of Poland, right southwest of Lithuania, that little area is called Kaliningrad, and it's part of Russia. Well, if you notice, if you were trying to reach it by land from Russia, you would have to cross Lithuania by train. Same thing here. If you were trying to reach Russia by land in the east, you would have to cross Lithuania. Well, Lithuania said, you know what? And they're correct. The sanctions say that sanctioned goods cannot transport or transmitted, transferred, cross NATO territory, or whoever the parties to the sanctions are. They can't cross the area. So they've said you can keep bringing your trains back and forth, but we're not allowing trains transporting sanctioned goods, which was about half of the trains. So the Russians, of course, the Russians being the drama queens they are, claimed that Lithuania has stopped all train traffic to Kaliningrad, and oh my God, it's an act of war, and blah blah, 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 typical. And so now you got a bunch of Russian hackers that are taking down the government websites from Lithuania and claiming that they're not going to stop until the Lithuanians, free Kaliningrad or whatever the hell it is. Whatever. Anyway. I don't want to say what I want to say because it might be advocating a crime, and I would never do that. So, but I'm sure Russia will get what's coming to it. More Ukrainian attacks on Snake Island. That was pretty good too. I've got another video, I think, of that. Hang on. Snake Island, is the Russian warship Go F Yourself Island. And the Russians are currently in control of the island. Oh, here we go. The Russians are currently in control of the island. Hang on. Oh, no, this isn't it. This is from earlier. Where's the more recent one? Hang on. There's a more recent one from Snake Island here. Oops, I'm going to go to the bottom here because it was pretty recent. But the Russians control it. They keep putting more and more air defenses there. They're trying to use it. Well, we know why they're trying to use it. They're trying to use it to keep control of the Baltic Sea. The Baltic. I always call it the Baltic Sea, the Black Sea. So it's an important, and it's a very small island. Get this, Snake Island, I did not realize, is less than a half a mile by so it's like 0.4 miles by 0.2 miles, literally. So, I mean, 0.4 miles by 0.2 miles. What you are seeing, this is the entire island. That's the entire island. I mean, the island is not that big. Now, real quick, this is the, I'll show you really quick. This was the attack on the island by the Ukrainians this weekend. I'll show you guys really quick just to show you. Same thing. Boom. A little bit more. Boom. There we go. So lots of snakes. I know. I don't know why it's called Snake Island. I mean, I know the name in I shouldn't say I know, but I believe the name in Ukrainian is Zimini, like Zmini, Zminij or something like that. I don't even know about half an acre, but 0.4 miles. I mean, 1 mile, or I should say a kilometer is 0.6 miles. So, oh, there you go. A kilometer is 0.6 miles, I believe. So 0.4 miles is going to be a little less than a kilometer. And that's the big distance. So it's actually, and it's X by 1/2 X. So it's a kilometer by half a kilometer. Huh. Thank you. Math pays off 40 years later. German artillery has arrived in Ukraine. Glad to say that. Actually, okay, I am going to show you this video too because sorry, we're going long tonight, but I don't care. This was actually very funny. So I'm going to see if you can. They're showing the new German artillery, and they're interviewing one of the Ukrainians. I'm going to show each of you up close.
Here on the front, and here what we have to say to all the Russians. Welcome to Ukraine, bitch.
I'm gonna show the other guys really quick because it cracked me up. It just totally cracked. It's also like one of those. Hold on one sec. Yep. Let me start it again.
Hi, this is Panzer Haubitze 2000 here that was promised by Olaf Scholz, and it's now here in Ukraine fighting with Russians. And this is Ruslan, who knows how to do this and who fights Russians here on the front. And here what we have to say to all the Russians. Welcome to Ukraine, bitch.
He goes, welcome to Ukraine, bitches. Welcome to Ukraine, bitches. It just cracks me up. I mean, the accent and everything. Foreigners, it's funny. There's something I've learned over the years, speaking a number of languages and visiting many countries. The word bitch, it is interpreted in many foreign countries as like prostitute or whatever. It's funny. I mean, I don't even know if the word had that original meaning, but they would say, "Oh yeah, he's a real bitch" or something. And I remember always going like, "Well, I mean," I said, first of all, it's considered kind of a sexist word. We try not to use it nowadays, but it's really only used against women, which is also why it's sexist. And they're like, "No, but it means," and I'm like, "Oh, that's not what it means." So putting it is kind of funny in that context. Welcome to Ukraine, bitches. Oh, and my favorite part is the woman at the beginning. I swear to God, the woman at the beginning has got to be Ukrainian. She's got to be, I'm guessing, a Ukrainian broadcaster. But listen to the way she says hi. Oh, hang on.
Hi, this is.
Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Hi. It's Vlad. Whenever I have Vlad, my friend Vlad, who's coordinating all the humanitarian aid, whenever Vlad's doing videos, he's so uncomfortable. And he's always like standing there. I always tell him, I said, "Vlad, you look like a hostage video." But he's always like, "Hi." It just cracked, but hi. It just cracks me up. Ukrainians, but then you get the other Ukrainians who are just like incredibly amazing on video. Anyway, it just made me laugh. All right. Possible grain deal. That's what I'm telling you. There's like a lot of news. Turkey has announced the establishment of an operational center in Istanbul to export grain from Ukraine. Let's hear about more in the next few days and see what that actually means. But, we'll see. In Kherson, oh, this was good. This was good news. Some of this was news from yesterday, which is why I had more news today, but it's not old news. So Kherson, remember, is the town and the province here in southern Ukraine. It's occupied by the Russians. The Ukrainians are slowly making advances, but it's an area that the Russians are worried about. The Russians are getting worried, especially because Kherson is having daily partisan attacks, meaning the every time I try to find a word to explain this, but the private citizens like the resistance that are rising up and secretly blowing things up and stuff. So they're having real problems. Anyway, the Ukrainian major told Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, that Ukrainian residents of Kherson are hiding weapons and waiting for centralized instructions to take up arms on behalf of the Ukrainian military. So in addition to the, putting bombs and blowing up collaborators, they're storing arms for everybody, for the whole place to rise up. Okay, partisan is, well, I never quite know. Oh, the only reason I say is because somebody, I think I used the word guerrilla once, and somebody didn't understand what I meant by the word guerrilla. So I worry sometimes that folks who don't follow this kind of stuff as much might not know, like partisan, guerrilla, it's like, well, as somebody said before, Laka, Wolverines, exactly. Wolverines, if they know Red Dawn. There was another attack on Russian. They're saying oil drills. Okay, last time we debated whether this was oil or gas, natural gas. Russian officials said Ukraine again struck the oil drilling rigs in the Crimean, in the Black Sea. Crimea, right? I believe off of this side of Crimea, I think these are oil drills or oil rigs that are run by a company that is Ukrainian that the Russians stole. So there. So what you've got is the Ukrainians basically stopping Russia from selling its own goods that it stole. Russia defaulted last night on its debt, on its bond payments. It was the first time that Russia defaulted on international debt since well, it's funny. I've got two different things here. One thing says 1998. Another one I saw said since the Russian Revolution. So I'm kind of curious as to which one it was. Either way, what basically happened was the Russians paid some of their debt, but it had to go through these central financial clearinghouses. And because of the sanctions, the clearinghouses aren't allowed to do anything with Russian money. So, okay, Eric is saying 1918. Okay. 98 was internal debt. That's why. Okay, that's why 98 came up. Okay. So 1918 was international debt. So the first time since the Russian Revolution, the Russians made a payment, but the payment operator can't deal with the money because of the Russian sanctions. So the money was not able to go to the banks, or I should say the bond owners. So it is considered a default. Russia's pissed about it because Russia's saying, no, it's not. It's a technical default. Me. It doesn't necessarily have any great impact right now because Russia can't borrow money anyway. So it's not like it's going to matter. It does matter from a pride perspective. To use the word, it's humiliating for the Russians. And so to that perspective, good. Oh, and we've got Irma from Ukraine. I can read that. She's saying good evening from Ukraine. Dobrego večera to you as well, Irma. Welcome on TikTok. Folks, give Irma a little hello. Or Irma. Could be Dima too, actually. It might be Dima Irma, I'm guessing, because Dima is a first name. I'm going to go for Dima. That's my guess. Welcome. Nuclear plant. The Russians, when they attacked Kyiv over the weekend, they flew their missiles. Some of the missiles went over the nuclear plant outside Zaporizhia. Remember Zaporizhia over here, another town the Russians are occupying, and the nearby nuclear plant the Russians are occupying as well. So they apparently, their missiles passed critically low over the nuclear plant, which, not a good thing. I don't want to, hold on. I'll skip that one. I'm trying to like skip the stories that don't matter as much. The Russian military reportedly has been kidnapping family members of Ukrainian soldiers in occupied areas of Mykolaiv. Mykolaiv. Here. Mykolaiv, the town is right here. Mykolaiv is not. Mykolaiv and Kherson Oblast. Okay, I was going to say it's the region, not the town, because Mykolaiv itself, I think, is still free. But they've been going after the family members of soldiers in occupied Mykolaiv and Kherson Oblast, which is the region. Okay, and they say that the Russians are collecting information on Ukrainian service members through captured data or through collaborators and using it to kidnap families of Ukrainian soldiers, including their children. And again, this is the kind of thing that, like, you'd ask yourself and go, well, could it be misinformation, disinformation? Except they just blew up a shopping mall on purpose. So with 1,000 people inside, my guess is mostly women and children. So, Belarus, okay, almost done here. Belarus is increasing its military presence again on the border. The Russians are making attacks from Belarus with, I don't know if it was with their planes or from like land-based rockets or both. I think it was both, actually. Oh no, it was planes. I remember thinking of the air bases. What's going on here, which is interesting. I didn't get married. Who got married? Oh, somebody else got married, I'm assuming. Right. I remember seeing planes because I remember thinking about the airports it was coming from and how it would be nice if Ukraine could bomb the airports. But if it did, then that would start a war with Belarus, which is what Putin wants. Now, what was interesting, and the only reason I'm telling you this story too, and actually this is the last story, is Ukrainian intelligence says that the Belarusian involvement in the war is highly unlikely. So the Ukrainian intelligence thinks Belarus isn't getting involved. Russia's doing this to try to get, hello, Marius from Lithuania. Russia's doing this from Belarus in the hopes that the Ukrainians will fight back. And if Ukrainians fight back, then Belarus has no choice because the Ukrainians have like blown up an airbase in Belarus, right? So first, Ukrainian intelligence says they don't see Belarus actually getting involved. And the Institute for the Study of War, which is that think tank I keep telling you guys about that's very good, here's what they had to say. While recent Belarusian actions along the Ukrainian border are threatening and likely intended to fix, I may have read this quote to you before, intended to fix Ukrainian forces in place with the threat of Belarusian action, they are highly unlikely to preempt actual involvement in the war. What they mean is the actions on the Belarusian side are meant to, they're saying fix in the way that I love, which is almost a British way. I use it from French or maybe Spanish too, but fixe, but it means to fix, meaning to, glue something in place, in essence, to lock it down. And what they're saying is that they're forcing, I mentioned this to you guys before, but it's worth reiterating if anybody's new. Most of the fronts of the war are Kharkiv, right? The Severodonetsk, which just fell. Now they're going after Kramatorsk. Down here, Zaporizhia. Down here, Kherson, right? So it's all around here are the fronts in the war. Well, up here is Belarus. If Belarus keeps doing this and the Ukrainians think, well, we got to keep some troops near Belarus just in case, these are troops that are not fighting all the way over here. So they're wasted. So the Russians are trying to make the Ukrainians basically waste some of their troops. That's what's going on. All right. That was the end of that. Already got a question from Elise Leonard. Hey, Elise, do you think Turkey is really going to come through on Sweden and Finland or on relief for Black Sea shipments? Feels like they're the Joe Manchin of NATO. God, that's a good explanation. Joe Manchin is this American politician who is a Democrat, but he stopped President Biden from doing all the big things Biden wanted to do. Joe Manchin stopped. I mean, the Republicans stopped him too. But Manchin is a Democrat where if he had changed his vote, the stuff could have gone through. Oh, boy. That's a really good question. I mean, on the grain, I feel like there's no reason for Turkey to play games on the grain. Okay. That I don't see as being a problem. I mean, meaning if there's an actual deal that can be reached, let's see. I mean, we're still worrying about what Russia's going to do and all of that, right? But if that's a possibility, what I worry about is as you said, NATO, with Turkey saying that it's so far going to veto Sweden and Finland joining NATO. Turkey wants something. Turkey wants something. I mean, that's the issue. Turkey wants something, right? I mean, we know what they want, but they want F-16s. They want lots of things. They do want Sweden and Finland to clamp down on the separatists. I'm already spacing out. Oh, sorry guys, I even had a nap today. Kurds, the Kurdish separatists. Not even separatists, the Kurds. I mean, it's not separatists. They want their own. They want their country back. And so, if he doesn't get what he wants, I could see him doing it. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Grandma. If he doesn't get what he wants, if Erdogan doesn't get what he wants, I could see him screwing things over. I mean, the problem, right? I think is saying they always want something. True, but he seems to be very. I mean, he's a dictator, first of all, but he seems to be very proud of his spoiler role, like Joe Manchin, actually, and it worries me. Yeah, no, it worries me. So yeah, he could screw it up. I mean, he could ask for just too much, and then NATO's not willing to go that far. Do I expect anything besides harsh words in response to the Kaliningrad embargo? I think Russia will do whatever it can short of war. They can't go to war because Lithuania is part of NATO. They can try some other, who knows what. Well, they're already starting the cyber stuff. Could they do something with regards to economically with Lithuania? I don't know. I'm not sure how they could, but they're going to try to do something. They're going to try something. I'm not sure what it is, though, besides the cyber. I don't know what else they can do. Yeah, I mean, Belarus, we talked about Belarus earlier. Yes, the Russians, some of the new, what was it, the Iskander or whatever it was, some of the new, which I always forget. Doesn't Iskander mean Alexander, like Alexander the Great? I think it does. But in any case, I live in Washington, D.C. The Russians sent some new systems to Belarus that can be nuclear enabled, right? But, they're just, first of all, again, if any nuclear weapons are used in Ukraine, it's game over for Russia. I mean, we're entering the war. I don't know how we don't enter the war if they use nukes. So they're just trying to, again, you know what those nukes are about? Those nukes are about scaring Macron in France, about scaring Scholz in Germany, and about scaring Joe Biden. That's what those nukes are about. It's to make people go, oh my God, this has gone so far. I mean, look what's happening. Look what's happening. Now we've got nuclear weapons possibly on the border. They weren't there before. Oh my God, right? I mean, that's the kind of thing. I am a political expert. Me, yes. That's the kind of thing that that I think Russia's doing. They're trying to scare them, but they're trying to scare the NATO countries and those three countries in specific, because we already know. We already know. So, let me look here. No, I mean, Traum is asking, am I the only one who thinks diplomacy is the mature way out of this? I mean, the problem is Russia doesn't, is the first problem. Russia's not willing to have a serious diplomatic discussion. One of the other problems you've got is, I compare it to being mugged, not even mugged. You're on the way home at night. Somebody jumps you. They want to kill you. They want to take your house. They want to take your wife. They want to take all your money. How do you negotiate that with them? And then some third party, and then President Macron of France comes in and says, can't we just negotiate this through diplomacy as a mature way out of this, right? The problem is, this isn't some border dispute. I mean, this isn't some border dispute. This is one country attacking viciously another. This is akin, everyone, not everyone, but certainly Macron keeps liking to talk about World War I and how, oh my God, if we humiliate Putin, but they should be thinking about World War II as well, because it's just as likely as World War II, where everyone kept saying, isn't there a diplomatic way out of this? And the problem is, you literally had an aggressor. You didn't have border disputes. I mean, you did, but it was an aggressor that was hell-bent on just getting land. And this Russia thing, absolutely, there were no border disputes. That wasn't what was going on here. It wasn't like there was the Maquis on the Ukrainian side that was shooting across the border and blowing up. It's not like it's Israel and whoever, Hamas or whatever, where they're shooting bombs at each other, and you kind of go, "Oh my God, who's to blame?" Right? This was Russia going, "It's time for us to steal some land. This looks good." How do you negotiate that? Without, as Macron keeps saying, without the Ukrainians just saying, "Okay, we'll let ourselves be violated again." And then from a Western perspective, I don't want to go on any longer. From a Western perspective, you ask yourself, is that safe? Or are we setting ourselves up for the next bad war, for the next world war by doing it? Okay, that's exactly. I just saw what Eric, I don't know if you're French or if you're American, but with that name, you could be both. I keep calling you Eric because your last name looks like Champagne, but I don't know. Let me know. So I'm not francophoning you. But as Eric just said, the problem is they'll start again in a couple of years on another territory. That's exactly it. Oh, you are French. Good. Then you're Eric. So Elizabeth says, could Russia targeting civilian targets during the G7 and potentially the NATO summit backfire and create more sympathy and pledges for Ukraine? Absolutely. I think it was a huge mistake. I mean, the only thing I can think of is interesting. Wow. Fort Belvoir. Okay. The only thing I can think of is, again, if you're Macron or Scholz, you look and go, "Oh my God, now there's another atrocity. How many more atrocities until we just get both sides to sit down and work out some deal?" Right? So potentially, you could help the Macron side of things or the Scholz sides of things that are just saying enough already. Can't we just reach some agreement, right? I think what is more likely is you are helping the side that says these Russians are barbarians. This is state-sponsored terrorism, and we have no choice. While everyone talks about humiliating Putin, we now have an evil akin to I don't know what year you want to go back to, 1933 if you want to go really far back, but we have an evil akin to that now that we are fighting. Russia has become the Soviet. I mean, this is my analysis of what I think potentially somebody says. Russia has become the Soviet Union. Putin has become the worst Soviet dictator imaginable. And they are happy for war in Europe, and he is threatening other NATO countries. And now, why should we not believe that he will go after NATO countries? As I saw somebody say this week or maybe last week, when Putin doesn't lie. When Putin says stuff, Putin does it. Well, Putin keeps saying he's going after he's going to go after the Baltic states too, or maybe not Putin, but his top people on TV. And let's face it, the people on TV are all in. I mean, nobody goes on Russian TV and says anything that isn't, sanctioned, but anyway. Oh my God. Let me find more. Actually, let me look at the Q&A and see if anybody put anything in the Q&A. One moment. TikTok. Malcontent News. He's alive, just so you know. People were asking, but he is alive. Q&A. Timothy asks, at what point does NATO just say enough is enough and just goes into Ukraine and wrecks the Russians shit to push them back? I mean, I think that's some of what you're getting here. I mean, that's some of what I'm talking about. I don't think even attacking these shopping malls, it's not enough for NATO to go in because, we don't want to be at war with Russia, and I get that, okay? But there's a lot of things we haven't been providing the Ukrainians, longer range missiles, F-16s, good, better fighter jets that perhaps we could. Some even better air defense systems that perhaps we could. So what I see happening is these kind of things make the good guys in NATO, certainly the Brits. Biden is a good guy. He's got a bad guy side. Biden has a Biden has a diplomacy side. We'll put it that way. Biden has a side where he just wants to reach a deal. Oh, my friend Kate, that's funny. He just wants to reach a deal, any deal. I think that Biden's got a side, but he's also got a side that is moralistic and everything else. And I think these kind of things help on that side. But in any case, winter in Ukraine is going to be tough. I mean, because I saw the Ukraine, I mean, they were talking what do you mean, Eric? Sorry, Eric is saying from Facebook that winter in Ukraine will change everything. Some of the stuff that I've seen has been saying that you know what I just thought of? Sorry, I just thought of something for tomorrow. I know the Ukrainians, Zelensky is already warning people and saying, look, it's going to be cold next winter. We're not going to have as much fuel as we'd like to have, right? That's one warning. Europe, it's going to be hard because we know Europe is clearly the Russians are clamping down on fuel there. You're quoting Zelensky. I was just going to say I'd be curious to what way in which perhaps it makes it harder for it makes it harder for the Russians because a lot of these guys are not very experienced at this, clearly. And what was happening in the spring, or I should say right before the spring, like they started the war at the end of February, the Ukrainians were using drones to find Russian tanks and Russian vehicles that were parked overnight in forests. They were hiding in the forest. And because it was so cold, the crew were sleeping inside the tanks or inside the vehicles with the engine running. And I even saw an example of it. What happens, the drone has thermal imaging cameras, and the drone looks at a forest and there's a big bright red spot. It's a Russian vehicle, and they'd bomb it, or they would send the information to bomb it. Oh, I'm still here. What's going on? Have I disappeared on? Sorry, Facebook is saying I disappeared. John Sarge is. Did I disappear on Facebook? I don't know. I'm still here. What was I going to say? Oh, you know what? I was going to tell you guys for tomorrow, actually. I am thinking, you know what we're going to do tomorrow? Yeah. I've got a dinner invitation that's actually really interesting. It's like 28 people being invited to this thing to talk about the crisis in Ukraine that a friend of mine's organizing. And he asked me to come because of my TikTok videos. So that starts at 6:30 and it's at a restaurant in town. So I'm actually thinking, what qualifies me to comment? 30 years experience in politics, 33 years experience in politics, a law degree, a master's in foreign service, visiting or working in 30 countries, speaking 5 languages, working at the United Nations, working at the World Bank, working in the United States Congress, working on arms control issues. I could go on. I love when people ask that question. I love when they ask that question. It just makes me happy. I know. Well, no, you know what I was thinking? Because I've got to leave probably 6:00 to go to that thing. I don't want to do a live. Even if I'm doing the live at 4:00, I'm going to finish at 5:30 and I'll be exhausted. So I am going to do I will do the live for watching the hearings. Let's do that. I'll do that. Yep. We can do that. Why not? So there you go. Yeah. I mean, or I could take the day off. I wouldn't, although I took yesterday off. No, we'll do that. I'll start the lives up. We'll see how much I get involved, but at least it hopefully isn't going to be on too long, I'm guessing, because my guess is they've got one witness. They might be for a couple hours. And that way, if I'm done at 3, that gives me more than enough time to chill a little bit. Yeah, it's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll set it up. I'm going to write 1 p.m. Eastern on here. I'll set it up after this on you, and we can do tomorrow for the hearings, 1 p.m. Eastern time US. That's 1 p.m. New York City time. So thank you, Michand. I see all of you, and NATO bot. Thank you. Michand, Mihensum? Oh, Mihensum. if that's what that is. that's kind of funny. So yeah, we'll do that. Well, I don't know. Let me think. I don't know. No, I'll turn it on. I mean, because again, I get tired doing it, but if I don't have it at night, it doesn't matter. Then it's fine. I disappeared on Facebook. There's no way for me to start it again on Facebook. Somehow, well, some of the Facebook, I've got several different Facebook things up. See, Chris Thane is there. Chris is still getting me. Some of the other Facebook people that disappeared. What do you think NATO's red lines are? Chris, I don't know that NATO has any red lines that are enough. I'm not convinced. I'm like Santa Claus. I need a day off I think sometimes. The dinner is a work thing anyway, except I'm not paying. I'm sure we're being treated. Oh, the dinner is a work thing. Are you kidding? He's grabbing like 28 people from a lot of experts and everybody else to talk Ukraine for the evening. I mean, it's a actual talk kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Catherine can see me too. Well, that's good. Although I think I'm on a couple different Facebook pages, so maybe one of the other pages dropped off. NATO's red lines. The problem is I don't know whether NATO has a red line to get into the war other than, okay, an ICBM, Russia launches an ICBM at Kyiv, and then I think we're in the war. Okay. Even then, who knows? I mean, short of that, I've always said, I think what gets interesting is, I don't know if this is public, so I'm not going to say yet. I'm going to ask my friend afterwards if I can say who's there, because it's one of these things, like, I'm assuming it's not private. I doubt it's a private event kind of thing. But why am I squinting again? But yeah, like what I'm interested in is, would a tactical nuclear weapon, a small nuclear weapon, be enough for NATO to enter the war? And I'm not convinced it would be. I think NATO still might say, now I don't even know what. We cut off all the oil. We give the F-16s, but I'm not sure. I don't know, Eric. I don't know if anybody else knows the answer to Eric's question. Thank you, Candice. Let me look again. Actually, you know what I'll do? I will scroll to see if any of the SNN members have asked questions. Have I seen the newest from SCOTUS today? I did see some, Miss Mickey. The Supreme Court, just as an aside, our Supreme Court, the one that I saw was there's a football coach, and I don't know if it's high school or college, but is it I want to say it's high school. It's got to be high school. He prays after the football game with the team on the field, and the school told him not to do that. He sued. It went to the Supreme Court, and of course, because it's this Supreme Court, we now have a very conservative Supreme Court, they ruled against, it's a high school. They ruled against the school and said the high school coach has the right to gather the team and pray. Now, mind you, he's a Christian. It's a Christian prayer. Some of these kids are either not religious at all, or worse, some are going to be Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever, right? And he's going to be doing prayers to Jesus in front of these kids and in a school setting. And what I didn't look at the actual, I didn't get to read the opinion, but the court decided they sided with the coach. And the problem with these rulings in the past has been, and again, the court, we've got, I don't know how many decades of decisions that were the other way, because basically the issue was, when I grew up, for example, we would have Christmas pageants in school, and it was fun. I loved Christmas pageants, but we would celebrate Christmas. We would never celebrate Hanukkah. We would draw pictures, and the whole school would be decorated for Christmas. There was no decoration for Hanukkah. We had Jewish kids in school. And forget Muslim holidays. That would be like war. Had we celebrated Muslim holidays back in the 1970s, my God, right? But what the court was ahead of its time said just that what the schools were doing is, the schools, for example, were doing a moment of prayer they would pray in school. And they said for the kids who either didn't want to pray or the state of the Pledge of Allegiance as well, but even for prayer, they'd say kids who didn't want to pray could simply sit down quietly. Well, imagine being the Jewish kid in school who's sitting down quietly because you're the evil Jew when all the Christians are standing up, doing their thing, and you're the bad guy. No, yeah, it's terrible. So the courts have been actually quite good on this until now that we have the crazies running the court. So, yeah, we have Judeo-Christian. We always claim ourselves to be a Judeo-Christian country, which is funny, or at least the people on the right do, but they actually mean Christian. They always say Judeo, like it means we aren't Judeo. We're Christian. Well, we shouldn't be anything, of course, but yeah. Anyway, it's awful. It's awful. There was still school prayer here when I was in kindergarten. Get out of here. The Lord's Prayer in an 85% Jewish school. Where were you, Elise? Well, what year was this approximately, and what state were you in? Wow. They would do the Lord's Prayer in kindergarten. Oh, that's funny too. Wait, let me get to Elise, and then Eric has a funny thing too. Let me see really quick. The Lord's Prayer in an 85% Jewish school. Sorry, but Eric's is making me laugh too. He was at Eric was at an elementary school in the U.S. and they made him pledge allegiance to the U.S. flag for 3 years as a French kid in an American school. That's pretty funny. It's not funny, but it's funny. So Elise, 1961 Pennsylvania, 85% Jewish school, and they made the kids say the Lord's Prayer every morning. Oh my God. It's crazy. Back then it was considered normal. Somebody's in Kherson. Hi, Day. Nice to see you. Hope you're well. It's a little late out there. Sorry, somebody on TikTok is saying hi from Kherson. Hey, Harvey, were you trying to put a question earlier? I saw like something flit by that looked like, let me look at this. Oh, yeah, through Super Chat. You did a Super Chat without a question. I'm like, you of all people know how to do that. Virtually all primary schools in the UK are church schools of some kind, meaning they all have part funding from the Church of England, meaning religion is a massive part of primary education. Get out of here. I didn't know that. Wow. That's interesting. Australia just made it so state schools don't need to have a chaplain on school and can choose to have a concealer instead. What's a concealer? State schools used to have a chaplain? Dear Lord. See, I thought our schools were bad, but we don't. The crazies do that, but the other schools don't do that. That's funny. Wow. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's crazy, Harvey. Funny. Oh, sorry. We've got a lot of comments here. Yeah, when you're on a military post, you don't ask at nine, I'm sure. Yeah, well, Marjorie, we used to have a lot of things in the U.S. Yeah, no, that's true too. The UK is at least upfront about having a state religion. True. But even then, you've got to recognize that in today's world, and it's a much more mixed place at this point, obviously. What else? Just looking here. Okay. I was just looking to see if any of the Sasha News Network icon people had a question, because I do, as I said, I try to get to those first if I can as a thank you. Let me go and look again at the Q&A here. There it is. Boom. Oops. Q&A. Here we go. I know. I hear you waiting to return home to God. I'm not going to read your question, but I hear you. How do you keep covering this and maintain your mental health? It's not totally easy. I mean, because I can tell I mean, once the war started, I could tell I was stressed. And I could tell even here with today, it's been feeling okay. But, the last couple of weeks, I thought it was my asthma, but I think it was stress. Whenever I would do these broadcasts with you guys, my chest would get tight. And I realized it's stress. But also, I've been working in politics since 1989, and I was doing gay rights. I mean, I was doing a lot of politics, but I was also doing gay rights activism from like 1993 on. And, you know, it was still kind of out there to be doing stuff back then, you know? So to some degree, you develop a thick skin. The only thing is, I don't think I have a thick skin. You know what I mean? I think I have a thick skin in the sense that actually, I was watching some doctor the other day, but it wasn't a doctor on TV. It was a doctor like in a TikTok or something, I think. And they were talking about, learning to turn it off kind of thing. And there is something in politics. Actually, my guess is meteorologists, weather people are the same way. I get excited with bad weather. Okay. I mean, it scares me if there's a tornado and it's nearby. I go and hide, like you should, rather than taking a picture. But it's not just being professional. It is professional, but I get excited about bad weather because weather excites me. The science and what the sky does, I find fascinating, right? So there's a kid's fascination with it, right? And politics, for whatever crazy reason, I get excited about politics that I can change. I'm thinking about getting excited about politics, but I get excited about. I did not work in Albania. No, no. We'd probably have Albanian relatives, I'm guessing, but no. But I get excited about politics, and I have a news sense about it as well. So bad news can be very exciting as a writer, not in a good way. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't even want to give specifics here because it sounds horrible to say, but as a news person, Joey bought a puppy today is not an exciting news story, and it's not fun to write that story, right? The city today allocated $1 million for street cleanups. I mean, thank you, Louis. That's not fun to write. There was a massive catastrophe. That's interesting news. And it's interesting news to write, even though it sounds horrible to say that, but you know what I mean. And this is interesting, the war. But it interests me not objectively, because obviously other wars I don't give this attention to. So it's not like, oh, war is interesting. It interests me because I feel like I can maybe make a difference by doing this. So it's my activist side that is finding it interesting. There's got to be a better word for it, but there's just got to be a better word for it. I don't know what it is. Well, it's not just if it bleeds, it's lead, but I'm saying, but like for me, there's an aspect of this outrages me. I want to make a difference. I think maybe I can make a difference in our own little way. Well, raising the money, we've made a difference, obviously, but even sharing the news this way, I like to think maybe we're making a difference in our own small way. That excites me. That I feel like I can be a part of it somehow and make a difference. So, but it's exciting, and I'm going to use the word. It's almost fun in a way. But I don't know what to call it when you've got that's the thing. When you've got a passion for something, it can be fun, even though fun is the wrong word too. We don't have words in English for this to describe what it is, because obviously it's not fun to me because I'm getting anxiety from it. But it gives, somebody used the word motivation. It gives you something to live for. And again, I say that in the way of if the work you like is work making a difference, it's very lonely and boring when you don't have work that you feel is making a difference, so that when something like this comes up and you feel like you can make a difference, all of a sudden your body wakes up again because you're like, yes, I can do something. And so that then you throw yourself into it but I will say this, you throw yourself into it, but then you get a little bit of that doctor mentality where you turn off the tears, so that you keep the adrenaline going, but the, oh my God, I'm going to cry, I can't keep watching this side gets turned off. You know, is there a Japanese word? But as I said, it's hard to explain because the only word I know is fun, but fun isn't quite, to me, activism. I will say this, activism over the years has been fun to me. It's fun when I can get people involved, when I can go after a company doing a bad thing and beat the bejesus out of them and get them to change their minds. That's fun. When I can get the attention of 2 different presidents, that's fun. You know, that's fun to me, even though it was making a big difference. You know, I pissed off Barack Obama on gay rights stuff and we got him to change his mind. That was fun. I mean, it was serious, but it was, I don't know, fulfilling. There you go. Maybe the word fulfilling is, you're right. Fulfilling is a better word than fun. Maybe that's it. Yeah. But when it's your passion, I don't know what else to call it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, German would have a word, of course. Berufung. Now I'm curious what that is in English. Of course, we don't know what that is in English. Yeah. But even exhilarating almost sounds wrong too, doesn't it? You don't want to say war is exhilarating. That sounds horrible, right? You know? What did they portray in, I love Grey's Anatomy, actually. What did they portray in Grey's Anatomy? Sort of the excitement of bad, actually, I'm guessing for doctors, it would be the excitement of getting a really bad case. Like, oh, this is really interesting. You know? I mean, I've had some medical stuff over the years. You know, someday I'll talk about my medical conditions or whatever, but I've had medical conditions where somebody, I had one of my doctors tell me, oh my God, this is so fun. He goes, I don't mean to say it's fun, but it's so interesting. You know, you should go to NIH. Like a bunch of students would love to just talk to you. And I was like, yeah, thank you. Always fun to have interesting illnesses. But I wasn't offended and I understood where he was coming from. But literally, he enjoys seeing me because I have something kind of rare and he thinks it's really fun. And I'm like, all right. It probably is because of my political thing that I don't get offended. But he literally is like a little kid. I'm like, well, glad to make your day, buddy. But that's also the doctor thing, right? You know? Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Doctors wrote a journal article about it. That's interesting. Yeah, it's, I don't exactly, just because you feel excited about it doesn't mean the subject's a good thing. Okay, that's interesting. ER docs thrive on that. Some of them just hit the wall on now, but that's the problem too, though, right? You can hit the wall, you know? I mean, and I think, you know, to some degree too, I did hit the wall on some of my politics. I was doing gay rights. I mean, I did a lot. I've got a long record of doing some really high profile gay rights stuff. And it burned out after a while. I mean, I was doing just nonstop, like 11 o'clock at night, we'd still be doing something going on. You'd still be jumping on it and we'd win because you'd be beating the hell out of people or companies nonstop. But after 20 years of it, I just burned out, or 25 years. And I'm happy to help on stuff, but I don't jump on gay rights stuff anymore because I just got burned out on it. And, you know, we kind of won. I mean, on the gay side, well, we won until now. Now we may lose the right to marriage, but hey, you know, and someone's checking in from Lviv. User Nashuna. Привет, Nashuna. It's late out there. Nice of you to join us. Yeah, Cammy's saying that was how for her dad was. The worse the case, the more excited he was. Yeah. Again, I'll go back to journalism or the weather. Reporting on sunshine and predicting more sunshine for a few weeks is boring. Trying to predict a hurricane and where it's going to go, that's got to be the most exciting thing ever for a weather person, but they don't want to say that. But I guarantee you, they're probably, I mean, predicting a coming possible tornado hunting or, you know, hurricane plotting has got to be just amazing. Let me see. Oh, that's interesting, Kelly. Yeah, well, why not? I mean, and, you know, and I wouldn't be offended by them asking because, you know, I mean, from my perspective, you know, if it can help somebody else, right? You know, that's the way I look at it. But anyway, I don't know. It's a weird, like I said, I don't think we have the right words in English to describe it. German would have a word. German would have a word that's like, right, the joy the joy you get from bad things happening to others, but you're not actually joyous about the thing. You're joyous because it gives you something interesting to do. But still respect the tragedy as tragedy. And that would be the Uber bop, 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 bop in German. You know, you guys are famous for creating cool words that the rest of us can't come up with. Well, Schadenfreude, I mean, you know, we do use Schadenfreude. Well, I mean, Schadenfreude is a bit of a $10 word. You know what I mean? I wouldn't use Schadenfreude with anybody outside of my friends. With my friends, I would use it. I wouldn't use Schadenfreude with my family. No, my nephew, Anthony, I'd use it. The rest, I don't think so. But yeah, raises your dopamine, of course. Oh, Norway, you should be going to bed. I mean, I'm glad you're here at 1:24 a.m., but thank you for joining us. All right, guys. Well, let's wie geht's es still I don't know. Wie geht? I know no German, but I know what wie geht's is, which is like how are you doing? But es still I don't know. Sweden, Ukraine too. Boy, everyone's still here. True Start, welcome. Oh yeah, I could do a recap. God, there was so many stories. Let me do the recap, and then we'll just hang a little bit, and then I'll figure out what I'm doing about dinner. Sasha's been very good today. Very good. I gave her 3. The vet said to give her many small meals today. So far she's had 3 small meals, which might be enough for the day. I'm thinking that probably is enough for the day. And she hasn't, you know, she kind of was having problems from both ends, as we say, but she's doing very well. She's eating today. She's drinking. She's got a good appetite, and she hasn't been getting sick as a result, which is nice. So knock on wood. You know, we still got another day to kind of see, and also I still need to see. We still need to see how things come out the other end in the next day or two. So that's still, the vet said I've still got to keep an eye on that. So, but so far so good. Thank you. Sasha eats better. Well, no, Sasha's having boiled chicken and rice every meal. So for now. So, all right. So tomorrow we've got the January 6th committee is having a secret, not even a secret, a surprise hearing at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to do it. Since I'm not doing the evening one, let's do it. But as always, if it goes on longer than 2 hours, I'm calling it quits. But we'll set up at 1 o'clock. A Russian court says Brittney Griner's trial will begin on Friday. Her lawyer said it could last up to 2 months. Russia attacked a shopping mall in the town of Kremenchuk. And latest when I came on the air was 13 dead, 59 injured, and 40 missing. The Russians launched a massive missile attack on Kyiv, the capital, this weekend, hitting a 9-story residential building and a kindergarten that fortunately was empty. The U.S. will send Ukraine advanced air defense systems. Biden is in Europe for the NATO meeting in Spain, which I believe starts tomorrow, and was in Germany for the G7 meeting, which is the 7 of the top world's largest economies, which was taking place in Germany the last couple of days. Biden confirms the G7 is going to ban Russian gold imports, which will have some impact. Zelensky asked the G7 for help ending the war this year. NATO is going to significantly increase its forces on standby in the region, and it is going to increase the size of its deployments in Poland and the Baltic countries since they've been getting worried about Russia. There is an ongoing Russian cyber attack against Lithuania because Lithuania is not letting sanctioned goods transit its land by train. Ukrainians again attacked Snake Island, which is Russian warship Go F Yourself Island. The Russians are currently holding it. The Ukrainians want to take it back. It's important. German artillery has arrived in Ukraine. That was promised. What was it? Oh God, it was like Haubitze. The first word. What was the first word? Panzer Haubitze 2000, I think. Closest I'm going to get to pronouncing it right. So that was good. Turkey announces that it may have reached a deal for exporting Ukrainian grain by land. We'll see. In the town and region of Kherson, the occupied by the Russians, but there's been a lot of people rising up, the resistance, the partisans, and apparently people are sacking away weapons as well, which is great for an uprising eventually. Russian officials say the Ukrainians attacked oil drilling rills in the Black Sea off of Crimea. Mind you, this is oil belonging to Ukraine and that Russia's stealing and exporting. Russia defaulted on its debt, its international debt last time for the first time since 1918. That was kind of fun, to use the word we were using earlier. When Russia was attacking Kyiv this weekend, one or more of its missiles passed critically low over the nuclear power plant outside of Zaporizhia, which was very dangerous. Let me see here. Ukrainian troops destroyed a Russian column, which included a Russian column, 2 command posts with U.S. rocket launch. Oh, I see. The Ukrainian troops used U.S. rocket launchers to destroy a Russian column and 2 command posts over the weekend. That was good. Russian military reportedly is kidnapping the family members of Ukrainian soldiers. And even though Belarus, the Russians are starting to attack more and more from Belarus, the Ukrainian intelligence and the Institute for the Study of War both think that Belarus isn't going to enter the war. Russia's just doing it as a bluff to force Ukraine to put more troops on the border with Belarus, and they're troops that therefore aren't fighting the Russians. And Javi weighs in. Did you see Boris Johnson's joke at the G7 summit where he asked Trudeau if they should go shirtless? I heard something about this, if they should go shirtless horseback riding together to show they're as strong as Putin. You know, I heard something about that, but thought the story was a joke. So like I read it on Twitter or something, and I didn't believe it. Vaughn, I say I speak 5 languages. My Greek is rusty. My Italian can be very good. My Italian is rusty right now, but 10 years ago, I was doing lectures in Italy for the State Department. So my Italian can be good. Right now, it's rusty. My Greek, I would never want to do lectures, but if I spend 2 weeks in Greek, I can get by quite easily. I just wouldn't want to be doing a university lecture. And French and Spanish, I'm fluent. Yeah. Yep. So there you go. There you go. That's funny. Yeah, I totally saw that story, Harvey. Thank you, Miss Mickey. I totally saw that story. I never studied German. No, I've always found German I'm intrigued by German, but you know, part of the problem with German is, what's the point? I mean, right? The Germans, I mean, not all of them, but the Germans do speak English a lot. And the Italy, I taught myself Italian just because I fell in love with Italy. So like that made sense. Spanish, I had to pick up some language when I was a kid, and they made us pick a language. So I picked Spanish, and Spanish has ended up being very useful. I don't know about radiation in Kharkiv. I haven't seen that. Maybe, but I haven't seen that. But Spanish is very useful. I use it every week. I use Spanish here in DC. Just in my neighborhood walking around. Danish. No, I'm not Pete Buttigieg. I don't speak Norwegian or Danish. I'm still have enough bread. I make a couple loaves of bread and I cut it up and freeze it. So I've got enough in the freezer still. So haven't needed any. Majority of white Americans are ethnic Germans. Well, I didn't even realize the town that I'm from in the Chicago area was settled by Germans, which I had no idea. I mean, I knew it was settled by somebody, but it was settled by Germans. It's a German town. It was all Germans. And it was very surprising because I went to the historical museum a couple months ago and I just had no idea like it was that German. I mean, it was Germans. The schools taught, whatever Lutheran, whatever the religion is. I mean, it was German, very interesting. I can say, oh, you remember. That's right. I can say droit helvete in Swedish. I can say that. I learned that in high school. I can say that. I didn't, law school, I enjoyed the first year. It's very boring after that. The first year was very interesting, but 3 years was too much. Just too much. Oh, Catholic too. Okay, interesting for the Germans. Um, Harvey says, I love the Germans, did a term of school in Germany as a foreign exchange student. They were so lovely, could really handle their drink, which impressed me too. Now that I'm sure. Um, I mean, the Germans I've met, I've always liked. I've always liked the Germans. Yes. Absolutely. But I'm trying to think. I mean, well, there have been people I haven't liked in the world. That's true. No, but I mean like meeting them. But most countries I go to, the Italians, God, I love the Italians. The Brazilians, the same thing. I just love Brazilians. Uh, Germans were very nice. I mean, meaning nothing negative. And I've known some very funny Germans too. Actually, I remember meeting this hilarious German guy when I was visiting London when I was studying abroad in Paris when I was 19, and I don't even know how the hell I met him. I don't even know how the hell I met him. I think I think he was friends with the kids that I met in Spain on vacation. And he ended up putting me up in his dorm for the night. And I didn't even know the kid and his roommate. And he was like, sure, you can stay with us. Nicest guys. Swedes, lovely. I don't really know Norwegians. I don't know Danes. The French can be really neat. The French can be a pain in the France is France can be bad if you deal with like functionaries, like government, like the hospital thing. Anybody in a position of authority, for some reason, they kind of abuse it a little, I would say, in France. And actually, DC kind of that happens too sometimes. Like at doctors' offices, I was gonna say the women. It's always there's never men working the front desk of doctors' offices unless it's a gay doctor. But my straight doctors, it's always women. But there's a functionary thing to doctors' offices in DC that I don't like. They're just kind of rude and kind of talk down to you and think they're ordering you around, and you're kind of like, I'm paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars to be here today. Don't be rude to me. I don't know anybody from the Baltic. Okay, here you go. The only Baltic person I can remember meeting was Thomas Ilves when he was president of Estonia. I met him at a conference, and we were sitting next. He's the one we were sitting next to each other at a conference, and I was so blown. I was invited to this conference by Papandreou, who was going to end up becoming the prime minister of Greece, but he wasn't the prime minister yet. And he invited me to this conference he has every year. I get to the conference, and I was going to kill the Greeks because as an American, I'm like, okay, do I get a book telling me about the conference, telling me, oh, you'll get that stuff there. Well, I get to this conference, and I find out that it's me and like 13 other people, but they're, this apparently famous Turkish member of the German Green Party at the time. This is like 10 years ago. All of these people were big Nobel laureates. Oh, I became friends with Joe Stiglitz because Joe was there, who was the Nobel laureate in economics. So Joe and his lovely wife, that I'm now friends with from the conference, and the president of Estonia. And I had no idea. I finally get the book when we're all sitting in our circle for the meeting, and I'm looking at this book, and I'm like, wow. I said, a lot of people. I said, a lot of big people here. I turned to the guy next to me. I go, who are you? The president of Estonia? He goes, yes. And it was very funny. And then we talked a while, and he told me all about the cool things Lithuanians were doing with the internet. And this is, God, this could be 15 years ago. You went to high school with Papandreou's kids. Oh, that's funny. But Estonia has done amazing things with the internet and technology. And this is, again, 15 years ago. As an American, blew me away what they were doing. But he's the only Baltic person that I can remember ever meeting. Yeah. Canadians, of course. I love Canadians. I had to have some Canadians explain to me the other day that not all Canadians are nice. They were like, oh, we've got some crazy conservatives too. And I was like, okay. Because the ones I've met have been lovely. I realize not every Canadian's lovely, but God, the nicest people, the ones I've met, Interesting. About Estonia for 1991. Interesting. Yep, not surprised. The Scots were very nice. I've never been to Ireland. I've met Irish. The Irish impress me. The Irish impress me. There's a very Irish women scare me, but in a good way. In a good way. In a like, damn, you don't cross Irish women. That's just the impression I've had. I had an Irish roommate in graduate school, Sorka Brady. Sorka was amazing. You did not screw with Sorka. But you know, what else? What else? What else? Oh, you're very welcome. Well, and thank you. Actually, you got. I see. Kherson Hooligan is on with us here today from Kherson. I'm assuming, or from at least originally from Kherson. But you know, we've got a whole international crowd watching today, and I mean, thank you for thanking us, and everyone else has been helping. I've been very glad to see. You know, even though we get upset with Macron and Schultz, you know, France and Germany have still done a lot to help. So I'm happy to share the thanks with our European and, well, Japan's done a lot too, you know, our other allies, which has been nice. So, but you are very welcome. We're worried about you and we care about you. So don't worry. We're not going to let our governments forget you. Sasha's doing okay. So knock on wood. You know, it's still going to be another day or two to see, but today she's good. She's eating fine. The Dutch. We had a Dutch guy in graduate school who was a bit odd. But I've been to Amsterdam and liked them. I've been to Amsterdam a couple times. I liked them. I didn't ban anything. I don't know if a moderator had banned you for something, although you're back, so you weren't banned. They must have given you a timeout. I don't know why though. It wasn't me. Sorry. See here. Lived in Japan for 12, I'm going to guess year? 12 months. And oh my God, the people are amazing and so good with the kids. My son was spoiled by every old person he came across. That's cute. The Dutch are loud in hostels. Yeah, so are we. Yeah, I enjoyed visiting Amsterdam. That's all I can say. I didn't know a lot of Dutch people, so I didn't really get to, you know, meet people as far as that goes. You know, Spain, nice people, a little serious. It's funny. The Spanish remind me a bit like the Greeks. There can be a seriousness, but I've met some wonderful Spanish people. I've never met a bad Spanish person, but okay. Like, you got to stop. Okay, I'm going to block you now. You got to stop that. Yeah. I mean, thank you, moderator. Like, we got the message. You got blocked for saying something. Like, stop. They're very direct. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, the Israelis are very direct. Americans like to think we're direct, but I've met others like Israelis. Like, Alaskans are way more direct than Americans at large. Like, I was working for the senator from Alaska, but I was 25 years old. And literally people would go, "You're only 25. What makes you qualified to do this?" And they would just say that to me. So then I would give the answer kind of like I gave that person, except of course, when I was 25, I had much less of that. And they'd go, "Okay." But Alaskans were also good with it. They'd be like, "Okay." You know, they're just direct like Israelis. You know, it's kind of a funny thing. Oh my. All right, guys. I think I'm going to go because it's already 7:40 for me. I'm going to have a little dinner. I've got some corn on the cob waiting to be nuked here. And so, yeah, I'll set it up. We'll do that. We can do the live. Since I'm not doing the evening one, we'll do a live. Damien will be here. You know, it's not much talking anyway. But we can see who the surprise guest is. And if there's anything earth-shattering, we can talk about it. All right? Okay, let me sign off here. And I'll set up the stuff right now for 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And hopefully they don't change it on us like they keep doing. If they're doing it later in the day, then forget it. But gracias. Thanks, guys. Oh.